Okay, so let us discuss about the basics of interrupt in this video. So basically what interrupt is and how what is the necessity of the interrupt and why is interrupt required and all those things actually we shall discuss in this video. So what is an interrupt? So interrupt is some attention what other devices need from the microprocessor. So in a rough way I can say it like that way. So interrupt is something which it requires an attention from the processor. So for example, maybe something for a crude in a crude way, if I have to explain this one, when you are studying for the examination, someone actually calls you. So someone calls you. So maybe some action he wants from you. So that is also a kind of interrupt. Okay. So here also, so just for case actually I have taken this example. If you just observe here, you have a CPU and you have this any of the serial port, and another one is a network interface. So the serial port is communicating with the external world here. Okay, so it is communicating with the external world here, and that actually it receives some devices, and the device is stored in the serial port chip. So that actually it wants to tell the microprocessor, it wants to tell the microprocessor that it has received the data, and that data has to be sent to the CPU. So that's what it has been written here. The signal tells a microprocessor that the serial port chip needs service, and maybe it actually asserts the request through the what we call as the interrupt request pin. So in general actually we just write it like this way. What we write is interrupt request pin, IRQ. So it's an interrupt request. So through the interrupt request pin, the external device tells the CPU that I have received a data from from the communication with the external world, and the data it wants the CPU to take the data. Okay, so when the CPU actually through the interrupt request pin, it understands the serial port needs attention. So whatever the task that CPU is doing, that it aborts it. I mean, it aborts it. Then it answers this interrupt. Of course, the answering of the interrupt also there are many other cases like the priority levels and all those things, whether if a higher priority interrupt is there, lower priority interrupt is there, if it is servicing one interrupt and maybe another interrupt comes. So all those things actually we shall not go through at this moment. So for our understanding, so what interrupt is, that is what you have to understand here. So interrupt is something actually raised by an external device, or it could be some of the internal device inside the chip itself. That is also a possibility, but in this case actually what example I have taken. So let me take one external device, something actually it tells to the CPU that there is some data which I have received from the external world, and that I want your attention to take the data. So what CPU does, of course it is going to raise the request through the interrupt request pin, and CPU understands through the interrupt request pin. Whenever it receives some request here, it understands that okay, that serial port wants to send the data. So that data will be taken by the CPU, and maybe inside it is going and put it in the some registers or memory. It could be anything. But one thing what you have to understand here is that whenever the request is raised by the serial port through the CPU, okay, through the interrupt request pin to the CPU, CPU will definitely answer that one and takes that one, and then it sends it to the registers, isn't it? So now same thing actually the another device can also raise the interrupt through the another interrupt request pin, maybe any of the network chip. Whenever it receives some bits here, so that bits it wants to tell the CPU that I have received some data, so data you kindly take it. So CPU will take that one. So this is what is interrupt basics that I wanted to tell you people. So interrupt in a sense it is some something actually it wants the attention of the CPU. In that way you can just okay, it wants the attention of the CPU to answer its request. So answer its request. So the device it could be the internal request, or it could be the external request, it could be anything. Okay, so but one thing is that it wants the attention of the CPU. So in that way I can just write it here. Interrupt request means something it wants the attention of the CPU. Attention of CPU to answer its call. Okay, to answer its request. Let me write its request only. Request to do necessary action. Okay, so this is what is you have the interrupt request. Okay, that is what is interrupt basic. So let me actually go through one code here to make you people more clear here. Okay, this is what you have it here. So any of the code that you have which has been, which we call it as task code, and this is interrupt routine. So here task code. So what do you mean by task code here? So task code is means the code which has been written here. Okay, so something actually the action that is being performed. Interrupt routine means which we call it, which we also call it as interrupt handler. Interrupt handler, maybe something interrupt service routine also. So that is basically whenever the interrupt occurs, so what is the necessary thing that has to be done to service that interrupt, isn't it? To service the request that has been raised by the device. In order to service the request that has been raised by the device, what is the necessary action that has to be taken by the processor? That is what is that the program will be written in the separate routine, routine. That is what we call it as interrupt routine. So what is this task code? Task code is something actually the normal execution. So what is this that has been written here? For example, this, let us concentrate on only these things. That is this one. Here actually we are converting from centigrade to Fahrenheit. From centigrade to Fahrenheit. Centigrade to Fahrenheit. Okay. So centigrade to Fahrenheit, which has been which this program is being written to convert the value that is given in centigrade to Fahrenheit. Now, of course, we know this formula, that is you just multiply the value by 9 and then divide by 5, then add 32. So, finally, store that one to the Fahrenheit variable. This is centigrade variable. So, first what is being done? Move the centigrade value what you receive from that one to the R1 register, multiply the of course, the R1 register contains the centigrade value. So, multiply the value by the 9, then you divide by 5, then you add 32. So, finally, actually the added value just move to the Fahrenheit variable. Now, of course, this is the code that converts centigrade to Fahrenheit. Now, imagine actually when this first actually you receive the centigrade, maybe something value you receive, for example, let me take 35. So, let me write it here. So, 35. Okay. So, 35 is the value that you receive here. So, that actually will be moved to R1 and it multiplies R1 by 9. So, when 35 is multiplied by 9, 9 5 is a 35, 9 3 is a 27 plus 5, 32, isn't it? So, let me do that calculation. So, just 35 into 9, 9 5 is a 45, 9 3 is a 27 plus 4, 31, isn't it? So, what do we get here after multiplication with the 9? The value that we get is 315. Okay, so 315. Okay, so 315 is the value that you get here, and this 315 before actually it gets divided by. Okay, so before it gets divided by 5. Okay, so the centigrade value 35, it has been taken multiplied by 9. So, what you get is 9 5 is a 45, 9 3 is a 27 plus 4 or 31. So, you get 35. So, 35 is moved, okay, that is what it stored in the R1 here. Now, this value before it gets divided by 5. Now, there is an interrupter. Okay, something actually, maybe let me take the serial port only. So, what we took it here. Okay, so this one serial port, that actually it wants your attention of the CPU. So, when it wants the attention of the CPU means actually the character has to be read from the hardware into R1. Okay, imagine that one. So, one thing what you have to understand here is that, so why these are the two things that we are doing here. If you just observe this one, push R1, push R2, pop R2, R1, just observe the order here. This R1 and the R2, then R2 and the R1. See, why this has to be done here is see, uh, if for example, this the after multiplication of the centigrade with the 9, that is 9th 315 is stored in the R1 here. Imagine now some interrupt occurs, that the serial port, the hardware is asking the attention of the CPU. So, it wants a character from the hardware into the R1. So, read character from the hardware into R1. Now, so that of course the CPU does that one. Now, what happens actually? See here, here the value that is stored is 315. 315 is stored in the R1. Now, if an interrupt occurs and this serial port, if the serial port whatever that is that interrupts the CPU, now it wants attention of the CPU. Of course, it will service the request. Now, it now if this push and push R1 and the push is not done, push R1 is not done, means what we say this one is, we say this one as saving the context. This we say it as saving the context, and this we say it as, first let me write it here, restoring the context. Okay. So, this we call it as saving the context, and this one is restoring the context. Means we are saving the contents of the R1 onto the stack. We are saving the contents of R1 onto the stack. Stack means here memory itself. Okay. We are saving the contents of R1 onto the stack. What happens actually if we don't save the contents of R1 onto the stack? Okay. So, imagine actually this 35 is multiplied by the 9. So, what you get is 315. That 315, if it is not saved, because the R1 contains 315 now, if 315 is not saved onto the stack. Now, if this we know that actually serial port has interrupted the hardware. When serial port has interrupted the CPU, okay, sorry, serial port has interrupted the CPU. Now, whenever it wants to read the character from the serial port, imagine actually that character, in order to read the character after from this device, okay, when it reads a character, this character is going to be saved into the register R1, is going to be saved into the register R1. Imagine actually what happens if the character that is read is saved in the register R1. What happens is that now 315 will be overwritten, and what is going to be saved in the register R1? That character value, the ASCII value of the character, it could be saved in the register R1. When that is being done, now maybe it could be having some hexadecimal value, some other value you get, but definitely actually not this value, not this value. Now, it is going to of course do all the servicing. Now, imagine actually it comes out of the return. First it reads the character. Now, that character has been read. Now, again your serial port is not interrupting the CPU. Now, it wants to return. See, assume that we are not written this push R1. Okay, this push R1 and the pop R1 is not being written. Just actually we are going and we are servicing the request raised by the serial port. Then when we return, now tell me actually what value will be stored in R1. The R1 that content that is stored will be the character value. The character value, because that is what you have stored in R1 when you service the interrupt in the interrupt routine, isn't it? So, when you service the interrupt in the interrupt routine, the character value that will be stored in the R1. Now, here R1 will not be containing 315, but R1 will be containing some other value, and that value will be divided by 5. Then finally, it will be added with the 32, and finally, this will be transferred into Fahrenheit when it resumes the execution of the task in the task code, isn't it? So, this is the problem that you will have it if push R1 and pop R1 is not done. Means saving context, that is what we say, saving context and restoring context. What is saving context? Saving context definition is you push all of the registers at the beginning of an interrupt routine. That is what we say it as saving the context, because we don't know. Of course, in this case actually if you can just say push R2 register is also moved onto the stack here. This is what this, when it is going to be serviced in the interrupt service routine, you are pushing the R2 register also, because we know actually, of course, in this code the R1 is not used, R2 is not used here. Maybe in the further code R2 could also be used. So, we don't know, and what value it is going to be stored in the R2 we don't know. So, in a more beneficial way, or in a what could be done, so push all the registers, whatever the registers that you have in, of course, it is costlier procedure, you push all the registers onto the interrupt routine. Now, that is what we say saving the context. Okay, so you push all the racer at the beginning of an interrupt routing, that is what we call it as saving the context. Then what is popping them means, see what happens actually. Let me tell you here. Now if we had pushed R1, push R1 was written. Now 35 is multiplied by 9, sorry, here it is, 35 is taken, 35 multiplied by 9, then R1 is containing 315, 35 multiplied by 9, then store the result in R1, so 315. Now 315 is going to be pushed onto the stack. Okay, it is going to be pushed onto the stack. Now in the stack, some location, address location, you have this value 315. Now imagine actually what happens. Of course, now R1 is going to be used. R1 will contain the character that is received at the serial, received from the serial port hardware. Now whenever you want to, okay, now when you do pop R1, when you do pop R1, which means that, because you know that actually you go for this address location only. Okay, so from that address location you will take this 315 value, then retrieve it back and store it in the R1 register. Okay, so that is what you push R1. Push R1. When you push R1, this instruction what it does is that, let me actually take out this maybe example, let me explain here. So maybe some address memory location you will have this one. Okay, so let me take 0x0000 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 00 is there. Okay, so let me take it, or descending way only, let me take it 8. Now let me have 0x 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 4, you have it. Okay, so in this 8 address, now what is going to be stored? Let us assume that now I do the push R1. So push R1 means some content in the R1. Okay, some content in the R1 that will be stored. In this case, what is the content in the R1 that you have? That is 315. Okay, so let me write here 315. So 315 content is going to be pushed into R1. Now push R2. Now push R2 means, let me take some other value. I don't know, it could be anything. So let me take 200 something. Okay, it could be there in the R2. So now this R1 content is stored in this address location, and R2 content register that is stored in this address location. What you have to understand is, this is the memory address. This is the memory address that you have it here. Now what you have to understand is that this is the content of the register R1, this is the content of the register R2. After, maybe it will read the character. Now register R1 gets changed here. Whenever it reads the character, register R1 changes here. So after it, the register R1 gets changed here. Now we'll come pop R2, pop R1. So this instruction pop, what it does is that, see, first pop R2 will be written here. Okay, so just assume why this pop R2 should be written first. Pop R2, when it is written first, it will take this address. It will actually know go. It doesn't know the content in this address that belongs to R1 or R2. That it doesn't know. But pop instruction will definitely remember the where the stack pointer was pointing. The stack pointer was pointing. So initially, of course, we say this one stack pointer. Okay. So stack pointer initially actually it was pointing towards this address location. Okay. So stack pointer was decremented by that is by 4, because you have 32 bit instruction set. Maybe if I take it as ARM instruction set, that 32 bit. Now, so of course we will not go into details of that one. Now, what you have to understand is that why this R2 and then R1 is written here. Now it is 200 value is stored here. Now this pop R2, when it goes, it through the stack pointer. Whenever actually push R1 is done through the stack pointer, first value is pushed here. Okay, second value is pushed here. Okay, so now what happens? Your address is getting decremented here. Now after pop R1 means it is address gets incremented. Okay, so when address gets incremented, first it is pop R2. Now what happens? This value will be pushed into register R2. Now again pop R1, so this gets incremented again, and 315 will be stored in register R1. So imagine actually if you had written pop R1 and pop R2, then this would have stored in R1, then 315 would have stored in, 315 would have stored in R2, which is very wrong, because what we wanted, 315 should have been saved, again retrieved back in, get into the R1. But what happens actually if pop R1 and the pop R2 is written, R1 will contain 200, R2 will contain 315, which is very wrong. So that's why this reversing should be written, because whatever it is like a first in first out. FIFO. This is FIFO, first in first out. The stack operation is basically FIFO only. So you keep on decreasing the address location and keep on storing the content, and when you want to retrieve it back, again you go back. So you keep on decreasing the address location one by one. Again when you pop it, you take that one, again increment the address, you keep on going up. That is what first in first out. What goes first in? So that, see, if you just observe here, the push R1 is pushed onto the stack. Now R2 is pushed onto the stack. So okay, so now of course, okay, sorry, this is not first in first out, I am sorry, this is first in last out, I am sorry, just make a clarification. This is stack operation is FILO. This particular one what you have FILO, this is not. So just erase this one. Okay, so this is basically first in last out. Okay, so now what happens here, this R15 which was stored here 315, R2 that is now it is stored here 200. Now pop R2 means you keep on incrementing the again address here. Now first this is taken here, 200 is saved in the R2 here. Now 315 is taken, that is stored in the R1. So that is how you retrieve the content, and this operation pushing R1 to R2 we call it as saving the context, and pop R2 R1 we call it as restoring the context. So finally you return this one, finally you return and go back here. So if you do this operation, what happens here, now R1 will get back this 315 value because you have saved the content onto the stack. So you get the 315, then you divide it by 5, add it with 32, the same content is retrieved back. Now did you get the idea why we have to push the content onto the stack and pop the content from the stack? If this is not done, saving the context and restoring the context, if any of the register content is used by the while servicing the interrupt in the interrupt service routine, that register value whatever that is updated, that will be taken. Okay, but the initial centigrade value which was stored here, that won't be taken. So we'll get a wrong calculation of the Fahrenheit, so which is very erroneous. So that should be avoided. So that's why you push the content onto the stack, pop the content from the stack. Whenever I actually push the content in the stack, you have a stack pointer. You stack pointer keep on decrementing the address memory location, keep on storing the register contents onto the stack, and when you after storing the register contents onto the stack, you pop it back. So you take this one, store it in the reverse order. Reverse order, you take the register reverse in the reverse order list. Then you all those from the memory locations, you take it and store it back into the registers, and take it and store it back into the registers. So that is how you get back the original register contents without losing the data. So that's why it is called as saving the context. Context means the when it was interrupted, when the task code was interrupted, what data it had, the same data it should have it after returning from the interrupt service routine. Okay, so hope you understood this one. So this is the basics of the interrupt or interrupt routine. So this is what we call because task code, and this is interrupt routine. So hope you understood the basics of the interrupt. Fine. Okay, thank you.